Oh, wait. I literally was just like talking, but I had the mic muted. Nobody even told me. What the hell? I had the mic muted and nobody told me anything. Okay. Hold on, give me 1 second then. Alright. I was going like talking about my day and then nobody said anything. Hey Phoenix, how are you doing? Hope you're having a good night so far. I was literally doing the intro and then nobody said I was muted. You guys were just fine with it. Like, what the fuck? I talked by myself for like 5 minutes. You guys were just awkwardly... Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say awkwardly. Just awkwardly watching the stream. It's so weird. Hey Frosty Show. Hope you're having a good night. Welcome to the stream. We're just doing a little bit of deep cleaning. Yeah, but if you guys didn't hear me like during the stream because I had it muted, I was basically talking about Palworld, the new game that came out, and how it has like over 500 concurrent viewers. Oh, not 500. 500,000 concurrent players. So it's a really popular game that I wanted to try. Because the concept of it is really interesting. But what's even more interesting is that it's beating like some of the AAA games. They were trying their new lip reading skills. Yeah, I don't know if you guys like have played it yet, but I'm sure it's reached like the masses already, since like it's got more players than CS:GO, so that says something. That says that everybody wants to play Pokemon with guns. I heard it was a good Pokemon ripoff. Yeah, I thought so too, but I saw some people stream it, and it looked pretty good to me, for what it is. It's like So I talked to Jury on this, and she said it was like Ark Survival. Since it, like to me, it does look like that. It's sort of like primitive in a way. But I just like the idea of capturing Pokemon and forcing them to do what you want them to do. But I also saw that you could capture people. So it's like a free for all type of thing, kind of. So I wouldn't say it's like limitless or like lawless, kind of. But you can do a lot of things that you normally can't do in other games. It's kind of like a better Pokemon too. Oh, also, if you guys didn't hear me, like during the intro, or you just joined into the stream, I was talking about how we had like a ton of houses, and how every single one of them has to be crap covered. And to me, that's just kind of a mystery. It's like, why is it all covered in crap? It should be like a public health hazard. Like, what city would allow that? That reminds me, I have like a question to ask you guys. So, if you had like the option to live in like the 80s and the 90s or like 70s, would you live like back during that time period? Or would you just stay where you are? Let me switch this. For me though, I'd say if I had the option, I'd probably live... I'd stay where I am, to be honest. And it's only because of one specific thing. And it's a really big thing, too. Like, you know how nowadays we have, like, phones, and we have, like, the internet, and, like, social media and all that? Like, for me, it's just, like, a matter of convenience. Since everybody, like, is online nowadays, and it's, like, every single day, it's just, like, if we didn't have that, it would suck. You guys know what I mean? Like, back then, like, during the 70s or, like, maybe the 80s, if you wanted to contact somebody, you had to either, like, go to show up at, like, their house, or... because there was, like, no mobile phones, right? So you couldn't just call them up. Or you didn't just have, like, 2 tin cans connected by a piece of string. So for me, I'd say just because of that, I would just stay where I am. Man, this soap nozzle doesn't do much. This turbo nozzle's doing the job. Yeah, this is doing great. But it's a little too slow. Okay, this one's better. Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys had this problem on YouTube, but whenever I play a short, or I look at like or watch a YouTube short, whenever I try to pause it like manually by clicking my mouse, like there's always like a super chat pop up or some annoying thing that makes me, like, I wouldn't say makes me, but there's just like a pop up that shows me that I have to like buy or like super chat. So I don't know if that's like a thing for you guys, but I thought it was like super annoying. Maybe I'm like the only person that experienced it, but it's like probably a new YouTube feature. Or maybe if you have like ad block, that somehow just pops up or something. But I find it strange. Oh wow. Automatically done, even though there was like a couple dirt stains. Maybe it's not as meticulous as I thought it had to be. You said mouse? I don't know if it... Like, for me, I haven't seen it on my phone, but when I'm watching shorts on my computer, like, sometimes I do that. Like, I have to... The only way I could pause the short is I have to press, like, the space bar. Otherwise, if I do it with a mouse, then like, a super chat option pops up for no reason. Not for me. So, I looked into this for why this is like a thing. So, some people might not get it because it's like an experiment that YouTube is doing. Where some people are kind of like forced into this thing without telling you that you're already in it. But they're testing it for like a couple days if you happen to be an unlucky person. And I had this happen with like the site Reddit as well. For me, they changed the layout of it, but it was only for like a couple days. Hey San, hope you're having a good night so far. We were just talking about how YouTube was forcing me to do super chats through YouTube Shorts. Yeah, because I couldn't pause YouTube Shorts. The only way for me to pause the short was to press the spacebar. But if I used my mouse, then a super chat option would pop up. I don't really talk slow, do I, guys? I used Revanced. Nice. Like, for me, I feel like whenever I talk, like, I feel like I don't feel like I talk really slowly. But some people think that maybe it's because of my tired voice that I talk really slow. But if I do sound slow, I don't think I can go any faster than this. I wonder though, if I were to like skip out on like listening to ASMR for like an entire week, and you know not just make it so that I'm like not in my pre-buff state to go to sleep. I wonder if I sound any fast, like when I say stuff, if I speak any faster. That way I don't sound tired all the time. Your voice makes me feel comfortable, like I'm in a blanket. I guess it kind of differs from person to person. So I asked my friend this, and they said that I have like a normal voice. So I don't know what the fuck normal is. Like what is considered a normal voice? How do you interpret normal for a voice? Is it something that isn't like high pitched, or something that isn't like deep? Is that what's considered normal? I know there's like such a thing for people whenever they record the sound of their own voice, they kind of cringe at it. It's like, do I actually sound like that? But for me, it's something that I had to get used to, even if I didn't like the sound of my voice when I started. One thing I've been kind of curious about in terms of voices, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like with the way AI has been so popular, I wonder if it can, like, you know how some people can't sing? They have to learn how to do it by hiring like a voice coach or like having voice acting lessons. I wonder if you can use AI to sort of train your own voice to sing whatever song you wanted. Because again, it's technically in your own voice, but I wonder if you can kind of mimic like what the AI sounds like for a song, and then sort of be able to teach you how to sing. Does that make any sense? See, I know it sounds like a stupid idea, but at the same time, I can't help but wonder if it would actually work. Because I know when you sing, or for some people who know how to sing, it takes a long time to get used to sing. So you can't just like do it right away. It's like an overtime type of thing. Okay, here's another thing I'm gonna ask you guys, but this one's kind of like a... this one might be difficult to answer. If you guys could only have one holiday to exist, and that could be the only holiday to exist, what would it be? Mine's the most obvious answer. Because it's the one that everybody celebrates. And this, keep in mind, you can only have this one holiday. Every other doesn't exist. I don't know many holidays. Well, it's pretty simple. You have Easter, you have Valentine's Day. You usually, for me, I usually just go to like a store and see what they display ahead of time. Because nowadays, they put out so much stuff very early. So, like, I just go by that. Halloween, I love the spooky season. So for me, though, I would have to go with Christmas. Because if I wasn't, like, that, to me, though, like, that's literally the only holiday that I could see any benefit for everybody to have. Because Christmas is literally, like, the only time of year that you get presents, right? And every other holiday, like for Halloween, you just get candy. Well, unless your parents give you money for some reason instead of candy, but like that would be the only holiday that I feel like I would rather have over any other. Maybe Thanksgiving because of Black Friday and cyber deals. I do like Halloween. Don't get me wrong. I like dressing up, but most of the people here where I live at, it's not a cul-de-sac or anything, but it's a neighborhood where there's people that don't necessarily celebrate the holiday. Same with Christmas. I don't know why. Maybe it's because a lot of people here are like of Asian ethnicity. Or maybe they celebrate it without showing it. I wouldn't know, but I like Christmas too much. That's true about Black Friday and having like deals and all that. But like, I like for me though, like personally, I don't really have a need to feel like I want to buy this or buy that. Because everything I have is like fine enough. Like the PC I have is good. What type of electronics do I use other than my PC? I have like a refrigerator, a microwave, all that sort of thing. I don't really feel the need to buy a new TV. Or like a laptop or anything. The days off? Okay, you're right about that. But I'd say Christmas is still like the holiday I would choose. Just mainly due to gift giving, but also I would say like a majority of people around the world celebrate it. More so than any other holiday. Unless I'm wrong about that. Hey Greenleaf, how are you doing? I hope you're having a good night. We were just talking about holidays, and we were washing this dirty ass house. But we were talking about if you could choose one holiday to exist and only that holiday, which holiday would you choose? Yeah, and some people said Halloween. Other people said Black Friday, or Phoenix said, Thanksgiving, and I said Christmas. So I don't know about you. There we go. Christmas only because of the days off? Really? Well, that is true. We don't really get that many days off. Okay, let me try the short one. There we go. Bigger spread. Oh yeah, there was like one thing while I was like looking through YouTube and googling stuff, I saw that there was like a YouTuber who paid like $50,000 for an animation of them from what was it? It was like an animation from I forgot. Let me look it up. I wrote it down. Yeah, you guys ever heard of like the show Has Been Hotel? Most likely you guys haven't because it's probably like too obscure. But there's like one YouTuber that paid like 50K of them making an animation of a character from the show Has Been Hotel. and it was like a self-insert of them getting assaulted by by a character on that show. So yeah, they paid 50K for that. But what's even more interesting is that supposedly they got bankrupt from doing that for some reason. I haven't heard of that. It was a really big thing. Yeah, the guy was I wouldn't say like a rap YouTuber, but he did a lot of animations for different games, but also like for rapping and all that. I personally never watched the show Has Been Hotel, but that story kind of came out of left field. They said that their channel was on the decline. Well, who gives a shit about that? It doesn't matter. Mix got bankrupt as well. Like, the thing is, like, as long as you're not doing YouTube as a job, you should never treat it as a job. Unless it actually is a job. By which, if you do something, YouTube is probably not the most stable foundation to be like making money off of. It's the worst option. Mixer got back. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, the streaming platform that I haven't heard of in a while. Yeah, but that story though is super weird, but kind of wacky and interesting. I've never heard of anybody pay more than maybe like, the thing is 50K seems like a lot when you think of like other animators too, because 50K is literally a salary for somebody's entire year, almost. All for just like 2 minutes of animation. True. Yeah. Yeah, unironically, animators get paid very little. So, even though it was kind of a lot of money, technically it's more than what animators get paid, which is sad. Animation is expensive. Yeah. For me, I feel like a lot of days people want things really quickly and they want things fast. So it's hard for people to keep up with that demand. At the same time, it's also hard because you need a lot of people to produce animation. But they don't really get paid very fairly. Hold on, what was some other things I wrote down? Oh, yeah. So I watched a short about a guy who was comparing like the least expensive items and the most expensive items. And they went to a restaurant and ordered like a $20 bowl of ramen and compared it to a $1 cup of noodles, which I don't think is ramen. Do you guys consider a cup of noodles ramen? Or cup noodles ramen? To me, cup of noodles it's just like noodles. It's not ramen. It doesn't have anything that's ramen. I was wondering what about it is the difference. Well, when it comes to like ramen, you can add an assortment of things, but if you just have the noodles, then it isn't ramen. It's like vermicelli. So it's like, think of pasta, right? So when I think of like pasta, I think of like just like just like the stuff without like tomato sauce or like the cheese or anything, or like spaghetti. Just think of like spaghetti without like the meatballs and the tomato sauce. Is it actually spaghetti? Or like lasagna, right? Because the stuff that's in it is what makes it lasagna. Whereas if you have ramen, then it's stuff that makes up the ramen. Without the stuff that makes up the ramen, it's just noodles. Or it's just like vermicelli. So, anyways, I watched a short of this guy. He compared the cheapest quote unquote ramen to the most, well, gourmet ramen for $20. And I wondered if you guys would you guys buy like $20 ramen, or would you buy like $1 cup of noodles? For me, like, it's the whole quantity versus quality thing. But in this case, where quality doesn't really matter to me all that much, I'd rather just have something that I can eat for more than a day. If I can eat like 20 cups of ramen or 20 cups of noodles like for 20 days, I'd rather just have that over one day. But you could also kind of argue, oh, I could just buy like 20 cups of expensive ramen for $20 a day. It's like, yeah, you could, but that'd be like $400. You guys know what I mean? Because I feel like there's certain cases where quality doesn't matter, and then quantity sort of matters. Yeah, cup of noodles they may be unhealthy for you because they have like a lot of MSG, but I like it for what it is. It's just simple and it's affordable. Damn, somebody drew like a weird dick with balls. Interesting. Or if it isn't, what the hell is this? What was this supposed to be? Oh, you know what this kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of like I forgot what they do, but like during a health exam, this is very like a primitive way to test like how uh how healthy your downstairs is. So they'll insert like a rod into it, and then they'll twirl it around. You know, I'm not even gonna go in depth about it, but it's like a very primitive way to see how your downstairs is healthy or not. But that's what it kind of reminds me of. I hope it didn't ruin your appetite if you're eating something. We cook our own food here every day. I eat outside food once in a while. I eat outside food, or I eat at restaurants once a week. I don't like eat every single day, like outside, because that tends to rack up in terms of the amount of money you spend. Because where I live in California, like out here it costs like $15 to get a combo meal. But the only way you can get it down cheaper is if you order it through the app, or you have like savings that you can tap into. But that's literally the only way. I may get the expensive noodles just to try it out. That's another reason. I mean, sometimes, like, you want to experience something that you haven't tried before. So for me, that's technically what I would do. Like, maybe once in a while. If, like, a friend says, hey, try this out, I fully recommend it. I know it's expensive, but you gotta try it. Like, I wouldn't mind that. But as, like, an everyday casual thing, no. Just, no. Too expensive. Man, this house is really big. Oh, I think this is where I need to use the long extension. Nice. Okay, what about 40 degrees? How much is this gonna do? Or rather, the soap nozzle. Okay. This is kind of... This is doing nothing. That's definitely not cleaning it. Oh wait, it says used with cleaning liquids. Okay, I see. That's doing something, but it's not cutting through all that dirt. By the way, what game is this? This is Powerwash Simulator. This is a game where you clean up other people's crap. See, if you guys ever wanted to experience what a janitor feels like on a daily basis, this is what they have to go through. What's with all these symbols? Is this like a cult house? One thing I've noticed with this game is you get paid like really little for like the big stuff. Because I'm measuring the amount of time it takes to clean something versus like, let's say, a motorcycle or a car. And you get a lot more for your time. More so than cleaning houses. But I think if you have some friends to help you, it goes a long way and it goes a lot faster. Bro, I would not feel like a generator. I'm into electronics. Nice. Electronics, huh? If there was like one hobby you guys would be really interested in, or like one skill you guys wanted to do, but didn't want the time or effort to be put in, like which skill would it be? Like, it could be anything. Like, even required for a job. Like, if you wanted to be like a doctor or have like medical skills without having to go through like the 8 or so years of the training or like the education required, you could say that. I bought lots of electronics repair stuff. My brother and me and my father are all into it. That's what me and my dad used to do back in the day. We used to do a lot of dumpster diving. Yeah, because back then we were like really poor, and the only way to get like some of the electronics that we could have had was either to pay out of pocket or to go dumpster diving and find it. But he would always like find we would always find like a bunch of random crap like out on the streets. And sometimes it would include like radios and fridges or refrigerators and TVs. Mostly TVs, but sometimes we would be able to fix it up with some other parts that we found. And then some other times not so much. Other times we would just leave it lying there because we couldn't fix it because we didn't have the parts. But if we did have the parts, like let's say we had 2 TVs and we had like a cord to one of them, we could just pull that out and then do a transplant. But going back to the whole hobby thing, or like a skill set that I'd want without putting the time into it, I would personally say this is something that most people can't relate to, but I'd say becoming a doctor. Just having that medical skill set would be useful. Which something I kind of wondered. If you're a doctor and you needed to be prescribed something, do you just like self-diagnose yourself? Or like do doctors go to other doctors? But still, having the medical knowledge I think is just like a really nice thing to have. When, like, the thing is, when I was a kid, I really wanted to be like a police officer. Or I wanted to do something to help people. Because that's the only thing I ever wanted. But as I grew up, I realized that there's like, not everything's black and white. And if you were to do things, you had to do it by the book. So, I wanted to set myself towards like other things. My little sister is doing uni for dentist. Nice. So as I grew older, like the lens of helping people sort of like grew into like other ways. Because I realized that I didn't just have to like serve, well, quote unquote serve and protect people. But I could like do it through other jobs too. Right? Because the word help can mean a lot of things. Not just like, when I was a kid, I only meant one thing, which was becoming like a police officer. But it sort of, that word kind of help sort of expanded. I never went to uni. That's okay. You don't need to really go to university. There's a variety of things people can do, even if they don't go to university. The only reason people would go to university nowadays is just for that piece of paper that says that I did something. For some people, that did something. Most of the time, it's not very valuable. So it kind of depends on the skill or the trade that you're learning. But I'm gonna be honest, okay? So if you go to university for a skill such as art, you're gonna have a tough time. Or if you go to the school to do theater, those are very gimmicky, high risk, sort of high reward skills to have. Because if you go to school for theater, chances are there's gonna be other people that do it, and not everybody's able to succeed in that field. Whereas if you have like a job that requires a lot of people's attention, like in the healthcare department or in like pharmaceuticals, majority of people need that skill set to make a living. You guys know what I mean? Like there's more need and in demand of, let's say, somebody who knows how to put out medicine and somebody who knows how to prescribe medicine or diagnose somebody of like a disease than there is like an actor or somebody who, well, let's say doing that does like marine biology or becoming like a nutritionist. One thing I don't particularly like about the nutritional studies is that they tend to change very often. So I had a cousin that took nutritional science and had it as their major. And they became, I think, a physician, I think, for... And she worked at it for like 2-3 years. And after that, she found out she needed more experience to move up in the world. So she went back to school, but not to study nutrition. I think she studied something else. So I think now she's still... Like, she's a lot older than me and she's still in school. I'd say she's about like 30 or so. 30 or so years old. So even then, she's still studying to do whatever she wants to do. Which I find kind of just... I don't know. Like, maybe it's worth it to you. I'm not gonna shame somebody for pursuing something they like. But for me, I feel like trying to do all that for something is a bit much. Like, the thing is, if you had the option to like get a little bit better position, but it required you to take like 4 more years of like of school to get a master's degree, would you guys take that? Like, if you had a really good job to begin with, and you want to move up in the world, get a quote-unquote better job, you have to take more classes and pay the tuition for it, would you actually do that? It depends. Some professions require continuing education. Yeah, I know some of them do, but for me, I feel like that sort of thing doesn't... I don't really mind it as much if it's something that I feel like is worth it. But I find having to pay, like, on top of tuition, but your own mental sanity, of having to pick out the courses and take the courses and study and all that, and all, like, keep in mind too, so you're doing that all while having a job, right? So if you have a job and you want to move up, then you gotta go back to school while doing the job that you're doing, but also handling like the course load and paying tuition. You don't just get to skip out on life and not worry about like rent and like other things too. For me, I personally wouldn't do it just because there's like so much at stake. And maybe if you could handle it, personally I would never do that because the workload would be too much. But I see your point, Phoenix. You good at maths? I don't know. I'd say I'm okay at math. It's not like I know like the Asian stereotype is that every Asian is supposed to be good at math. Supposedly. But the only thing I'd say I'm really good at in terms of math is just doing my taxes. So, you can do whatever you want with that. But the most important thing at the end of the day, rather than like learning math, the only math you really do need to learn is just like figuring out your financials. That's the honest and true statement I can give you. So if you consider that like good at doing your taxes, then yes, I'm good at doing math. Recipes including multiplication and division, I guess, at the portion control. Yeah, that is true. Because I did try baking once, and I didn't know like the proper proportions, even if you're just like a couple meters off or like centimeters. Like if you add too much baking soda or you add too much flour, then the dough either becomes like too hard, and it makes it so that the process just ends up being wrong. And the final product just tastes like crap. Even though, unironically, you made it with love. Love can taste like crap sometimes. Love is a two-way street. Either you put your full heart and your full effort into it, or you don't get a good product at all. Yeah, isn't that strange? When people say I love them or I love somebody, and then the other person doesn't reciprocate it back. Like when I think of that, is it actually love? Like I think caring is like the proper word for that. Yeah, when somebody says I love them and then the other person doesn't give a shit, the proper term is I care for them. Because there's no love unless the other person cares for them back. You guys know what I mean? It's more like attraction. Yeah, but when people say I love somebody, they use it in a very misconstrued sense. It's fine to care about somebody, but love is... you have to reciprocate it back for it to be love. Because that's not love, that's just like kind of being stupid. Because if somebody cares, if you care about somebody and they don't give a shit back to you, then it's like, what is it actually? Do they actually care about you? I don't know how I went from math to like philosophical shit about love. I think someone can give love but not have it reciprocated, like a parent and their kid. Well, you sure about that? So, if your mom cares about you, do you care about your mom? Like, it doesn't have to be romantic love. It could be paternal love, in which two parties actually care about each other. That's one-sided. Yeah, one-sided. So if your mom says they care about you and you care about them, that's not love. Are we not going into like the Oedipus shit? You guys. So when you say like you care about you love somebody, you want to like fuck them. So when I say like you care about your mom and your mom cares about you, you want to fuck your mom. Is is that why it's one-sided, because you don't want to? Does it have to be like a romantic thing for it to be like considered love? I would still consider it real. Some people believe it's more of a selfless act independent of any reciprocation. For me, and this is the best thing I can say for anybody that quote unquote loves somebody, if they don't quote unquote love you, then there is no love. Again, that's just like what I believe in. Because if you do truly want somebody to care about you, or quote unquote love you, then they should be able to show that. And it shouldn't be one-sided. I think you are talking about relationships. Same thing with like, let's say parental love, right? So there's like some parents out there that don't really give a rat's ass about their children, who will either like beat them, or there's like some stereotypes out there with their dad going out to like the convenience store and getting milk. You guys heard of that, right? But you can still give and get nothing back. Okay, so if that's the case, what do you consider two people that are in love? Like the two people. So if I love you and you love me, what is that, right? So like if I love you, and that's already love, right? And they love me. Like, what does that create? You guys know what I mean? If I love you and you love me, what is that? Yeah, I don't think this one's gonna do the job. I think we need a deep cleaning. What if I spray it with soap? Does that do anything? Kinda. It kinda does something. Can you repeat the question? Is like the sound too loud for you guys? I feel like it might be. What I said is, if, let's say for example, you love me and I love you, what does that create? Don't say love, like love plus love equals love. If you love me and I love you, then we're both gay, dude. See, that's a reasonable answer. That actually creates something. See, for that argument, I do actually think that's a good argument. If two dudes love each other, then it's gay. That's what it creates. It can go any way. You can stalk each other and never act on it. See, you guys, you see what I mean? Like, when people say they love somebody, like, and then and it's like supposedly what, quote unquote, one-sided. Like, they don't know what it creates. Hey, Lycan Pup. Hope you're having a good day so far. Or a good night. I know it's super late for you. But we're just like cleaning shit. And we're talking about love. Yeah, we were talking about relationships. And how we had this this debate. If you cared about somebody and they cared about you, does that create love? Or is if you love somebody and they don't love you, is that actually love? Can love actually be one-sided? I mean, there are loveless marriages. That's another thing I never understood. So, if you're like in a loveless marriage, why do you stay in it? That's something I never understood. And I've never had this happen before. Because, at the very least, the people I was with, they were decent human beings. But why do... Like, if you're not happy in, like, a relationship, why do people cheat? Like, for me, it's like, why not just get out of the relationship and then, like, move on and do other things with different people? Because in the long run, my opinion, my logic is like, if you're doing that, you're just hurting the other person. Like, if you just like put it off, it's like, hey, there's no hurting or anything, there's nothing. There's just like more consequences if you do that. I say love is an emotion. You can love someone and have it unrequited. Unacquitted, huh? Social obligation children? Yeah, but still. Like, I'm sure children would understand. Or they'd have to understand. My logical opinion is, like, if you're both unhappy with something, then just put it off. Like, if you get a divorce, it's not gonna be rough for the kid, as long as you remain in contact with one another. Just because you guys don't love each other, it doesn't mean that you can't love your kid, right? Love is a specific chemical in our brain. Or sorry, not love, care. Care about your kid. See, one thing I thought of why people cheat, and this is like a controversial thing that I think, is mostly because they like the thrill of it, and they like the excitement of going behind somebody's back and doing it. That's the only reason I would say why people would cheat. Either that, or again that they're bored of their current spouse or a person that they're with. Admitting there's a problem requires courage. That's why some people we have such things as like marriage counseling. But in my opinion, you don't really need marriage counseling. You just need to reconcile with one another and figure out what the fuck is the problem. And you don't need to pay somebody $200 to figure that out. But those two people really hate each other. No common ground at all. I'm gonna give you an example of me and somebody that I was with, and this was when we were teenagers. In the beginning, we were really friendly with one another, but we grew distant just because we didn't really have any common ground at all. Even though our relationship started out as nice and friendly, we just didn't have anything in common. And again, for me though, you don't really need to find common ground in a relationship, because the stereotype or like the thing with like polar opposites attract, that's actually a phenomenon, and that's actually a thing. So even if you don't have common ground, you don't need to be. Like for example, if I had somebody that I was with, like they were playing a game of some kind, like let's say for example they were playing Doom, and I don't like Doom, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna join in on your game and play with you. You don't necessarily need to do that. I just think personally, if you're like friendly to somebody and they'll give you like the time of day and they'll reciprocate it back, then at the very least something might develop. But it depends. There's just, it depends. Anyways, for me and her though, over time since at least for me, I tend to grow distant of her because I wasn't spending enough time with her, supposedly. And there were times where I would feel like really jealous of them because they would hang out with other people. And keep in mind, this was when I was a teenager. I think I was like either 14 or 15. Or even a little younger than that. But that was like the first ever relationship I had. And that was when my mind was developing. And I'm not gonna like put it all on being like a young adolescent dumbass. But there were things that I did that were wrong. But there were things that she also did was wrong. For her though, she was very clingy. And this isn't like a trait that you would want in a person. For somebody to always give them the time of day, like be with them all the time, or like talk to them on like a daily basis. What I mean by that is give them all your time. So we weren't like ready to to be in a relationship. And that kind of just fell off eventually. Just because of those things that I mentioned. But I will say though, I've never cheated on them, okay? I'm not that guy. I don't do that. Like, my honest opinion, if I were to date somebody else, I would break it off and then just give it some time until I'm ready, and then I'll be back. That's just how it is. I would never make somebody go through or suffer more than what they already have to. I'm still close friends with the first person I dated, and our breakup was the best thing to happen to our relationship. Unironically, it's the same thing with me and her. Kind of. Yeah, now that we went our both separate ways, after we were depressed, we became a bit more of ourselves again. Yeah, so I used to be like somewhat a bit more sad about things. I wasn't like super depressed and all that, but I would make like less jokes, I think. But the more I gave it time, the more I became better. And more to joke about life. Pretty sure that paint counts as dirt for the wall, really? Holy shit, it does. Thank you, Lycan Pup. I thought this was like some sort of Illuminati symbol. Because there was like 3 of these. Oh yeah, huh, shit, I forgot. I forgot to put Jury's channel in the description. Or in like the pinned comment. I've just been so enveloped in talking about stuff that I just forgot. I've just been cleaning the house. You actually like this game, or you're just playing for stream? No, I like this game. I like cleaning crap. It gives me a lot more time to not only like talk to you guys about stuff, but I think it's like the equivalent of watching paint dry. But you have to experience it to be able to have fun. At least that's what I think. It's not euphoric or anything, but it's just like nice to do. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, if you guys are new and you want to have somebody that's comfy and cozy to talk to, then go subscribe to Jury. It's in the pinned comment above. Let me see what other things I wrote down that we can talk about. Oh yeah. What was like the biggest fear you guys had when you were kids? And did you guys ever like overcome that fear? For me, it was I think it was, well, I had a lot of fears, but one of the fears that I had was conquering the fear of heights. And the only way to do that was, at least for me, I had to, like during recess, back in 4th or like 5th grade, we had these monkey bars, but they were like 20 feet tall. And every recess, I would go out there, and these monkey bars were like really way out there, where no kids would ever go to. I think they were abandoned, but they were like somewhat rusty. And then the staff that worked there, they didn't take it down for some reason. But I would climb those monkey bars and just hang like on top of them for all of recess. Yeah, mainly I would just hang up there because I had nobody else to hang out with. Because I didn't really have a fear of making friends or anything. I just didn't really feel the need to make friends. I don't know, at least for me, I just preferred to be alone most of the time. I don't remember what my biggest fear, but I was fucked up about the dark. Oh yeah, huh? That's another thing that some kids are afraid of. Being alone in the dark. I did have that problem at one point where, like, I know some people, some kids, when they were like smaller, they used to be afraid of the dark, and also what's under their bed. Even now, some people are still afraid of the dark. There's also some people that are afraid of like very minute things and very specific things. Like I saw like some videos on like the strangest phobias, and there's like some people that are afraid of like pickles. I think it was pickles, right? Let me see. Let me take a look. Yeah, it's a video. Oh, also olives. Some people are afraid of olives. Now I'm not sure if this is like a TV show type of thing, but I've never seen types of phobias like this. Yeah, but there's some people that are afraid of a very uh small things like pickles and olives. Yeah, now you guys know that. So for me, I don't think that's. I'm pretty sure that's like a TV thing. I don't think anybody's afraid of that. But you never know because there's like so many people out there in the world that have different types of phobias. But I think it's for specific reasons. Maybe due to like trauma that they've had when they were kids. My mind was the scariest thing to me. You didn't grow up like as like a kid psychopath, did you? there's like some kids that are like really disturbed, and they have like so there's like some kids out there that I've read up on because I think it was like in a creepy YouTube video story of some kind. But there's like a kid out there that used to take like pets out in the streets, or not pets. They used to take like wild cats and wild dogs, and the kid would like do experiments on them, like torture them and kill them. I think he killed them, and that sort of evolved into something bigger. So as the kid grew up, he moved on to like bigger targets rather than cats and dogs. So he experimented on humans, and his first human subjects were his parents. That's actually a true story. But I forgot the name of it. I was scared of toilets at one point because some pretty bad plumbing fuck-ups. Pretty bad fuck-ups, huh? No way. Well, it actually is a thing. It doesn't surprise me that there's like a lot of people in the world that commit different things. It's not to like feel special either. You don't really get like a Medal of Honor for it. But there's a lot of people nowadays that do stupid things. Not just because of mental illness, but just because of wanting to feel special, I guess. I also watched like a short of a guy that ranked like different types of people's what do you call them? Death row final meals. And there was like one guy, and we're talking about like serial killers here. There was like one guy that really wanted to be a doctor. This was like, I think it was back in like the 1900s, the early 1900s. He wanted to be a doctor, so he looked through like the phone book and called up a doctor, and he asked him to come over to his house. Back then, doctors' house calls, they used to come to your house rather than you having to go to their office. So he called this doctor over, and he bashed him over the head and killed him. And he thought by doing this he would become a doctor, which I don't know whether or not it's mental illness or not, but it's kind of a stupid thing to do, I mean. And he was sentenced to death by, I think, hanging. And for his last meal, he wanted like an olive, but it had to be a pitted olive. So when he got hanged, supposedly the olive was supposed to be put in his pocket, and for him to grow or sprout an olive tree when he died. Which is like a symbol of like release or some shit. So I feel like that guy was kind of out of his mind when he thought he could kill a doctor and assume to become a doctor that way. And then what's crazy of all, he wanted to die with an olive in his pocket and sprout an olive tree. That was his final meal. A pitted olive. I feel like we were all like that at one point but grew out of it. Well, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of psychopaths out there, or sociopaths, that want to play with people's emotions. But you wouldn't know of it. Because some people are really good at doing that, and other people not so much. See, I put like sociopaths and psychopaths into two categories. Either you're either you're the psychopath like American what was it called? American Psychopath or something? I forgot what it was. But it's the one with Patrick Bateman where he's not necessarily somebody you would expect to kill somebody or become a serial killer. Or you're the type of serial killer or psychopath that shows your craziness through the weirdest ways. So what I mean by this is either you're a suave serial killer or the type of serial killer that says random crazy stuff which would make you assume that they're mentally insane. I don't know about you guys, but I was never like that when I was a kid. I didn't really have a thought in my mind to experiment and kill animals. So, I mean, sure, there's like some. I think at one point in everybody's mind, we thought of doing stupid things. Maybe that's what you were referring to, right? Like for example, like if you were between like two buildings and you wanted to jump the gap, it's like I can clear it. That type of stuff. But you know that it's more than 7 feet, so if you jump, you're just gonna fall straight down. So I know what you're trying to say, Phoenix, but I've never experimented on animals or had the thought of. It's sort of like the saying of, if your friend jumped a bridge, would you also jump along with them? But yeah, going back on like the topic here of fears, really the only fear I had was just the fear of heights. So I had to kind of train myself to not be afraid of heights by being on heights. Even though it was kind of, well, I'd say it was dangerous for any kid to be up in 20 feet in the air without supervision, but I didn't mind that. I thought it was like a life lesson that I needed to learn. Plus, it made me a little bit more flexible. So it was kind of a win-win situation. I was never really afraid of anything, even things good to be afraid of. No fear of heights, no fear of snakes, no spiders. Well, there's one thing people that are normally afraid of, and this is a real thing. And I'm pretty sure everybody has this at some point, but it's the fear of the future. And I'm not saying like it's like technological shit. Okay, it's like, oh, we're gonna be advancing the human race, or like AI's taking over, or like computers are gonna. What was it called at the time? The year 2000. I forgot what it was, but it was like some sort of computer uprising. But what I mean by like fear of the future is like fear of the unknown. It's like, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life for like 10 years from now? Y2K? Yeah, that's the thing. That's... I was thinking of that. Thank you, Wally. But yeah, everybody has the fear of the future. Even if you because at one point in your life, you didn't know whether the path you were on was gonna be strayed away towards like a different path in your life. Because nobody has like a set path they follow. Every path you follow has a twist and turn of some kind. And nothing's ever guaranteed. Oh yeah, it reminded me right now I'm in a phase where I'm not all affected by the idea of the future, but I get real screwed up thinking about the past. There's a lot of people that they can't, and this happened to me too. If you stay too much in the past, then you can't move forward. I think the saying is if you're stuck in the past, then you can't move forward. It applies to like the way people think, but also the way people used to feel. Looking at a photo from 100 years ago freaks me out. That kind of reminds me of like a... Who was it? Was it Vsauce? Yeah, Vsauce made a video on whether or not old people looked... Why old people looked old, like in the photos. And I forgot the... I forgot what he said. But what you said about like the photo reminded me of that. Like, do you guys consider, when you look at old photos, do you think the people there look old? He said something about like the way humans like have developed over the past 100 years, but it's more so to do with like their facial bone structure. I think. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, that video just kind of came to my mind. Hold on, let me see if I can look that up. Why do old people look older? Yeah, this one. I'm not gonna like watch it like on the stream. But this is what you kind of reminded me of. Did people used to look older? Yeah, if you're interested in like old people or old photos and why they look old to you, I think you should give this a watch if you haven't. Very interesting. For me, like I've always had this idea that if you were to like die somehow, you get like reincarnated, but you get reincarnated into a different time period, like a different world paradox. And I figured like the worst time period for me to be in is anything below like the 2000s. Or the 90s, I mean. Or, like, I'd say the worst time period of all would be, like, the 1700s. Back when, like, medicine wasn't a thing. And a lot of people died by a ton of diseases that could be easily prevented today. It's not that they look old or anything, it's just the fact that old photos are snapshots of a point in time I'll literally never comprehend. Oh yeah, huh, that's another thing too. Because if you didn't... because for some old photos, if the people they don't exist nowadays, they can't really tell their story. So the only way you can sort of get that story is kind of interpret it based off of what you see. Like for example, my grandpa died when I was, well, he died when I was, well, 2 years before I was born. So I don't really know what he was like. I only have the stories of what my parents tell me. But my dad told me that he was a really tall guy. But he had like a heart of gold, supposedly. And every time he would try to enter like a doorway, he would get stuck because he was like 7 feet. Supposedly. I wish he gave me those genes, but it's too bad. I'm not 7 feet. All the points in time that I was alive for something, I really freaked myself out thinking too much. Well, you ever thought that maybe if you take a photo nowadays, that if you live to like, let's say 100, well, add 100 years to yourself, are you gonna look back and think the same thing of yourself? Like, I don't know how old you are, but let's say you're like 25 and you live to be 125, and you took that screenshot or that picture today of how you looked when you were 25. Like 100 years from now, are you gonna look at that photo and think the same thing? I'll never comprehend what I was at the age of 25. Those were the days. I better get paid big money for this shit. Yeah, cleaning this house is an endeavor. I can't imagine anybody would be doing this, like cleaning a house this dirty for a living, and expect to make like a ton of money off it. Oh yeah, that reminds me. The I don't know how much like minimum wage like you guys get paid in your area or in your part of the state, or if you're out of state. But here in California, the minimum wage is like $16. I think it's 16, or it's 15. I don't remember. But supposedly for us, the minimum wage is going up to $20 an hour. So yeah, we're getting paid like 20 bucks an hour. Well, if you're like working retail or you're at a fast food restaurant, you get paid a little bit more. But that's more so to compensate the high cost of living here. But I've always thought about like it evening out because you do get paid a bit higher than most people. But if the thing is, if you lived like out of state and then you visit here, then everything would be a lot more expensive. Like in Pup, right? If you're paid $7.25 an hour in Oklahoma and you come here for like a vacation, that would be very expensive for you. Oh, one thing I thought was kind of shocking, and we don't have like high prices here compared to that state. But I saw a short, and supposedly in Alaska, everything's so fucking expensive. Just mainly because of how people do things over there. Yeah, but in Alaska, if you wanted to buy like let's say apple juice, it costs you like $13 for like a it's not a decent sized bottle for like $13, but it's like say maybe like 4 or 5 quarts for apple juice. But everything in Alaska is expensive. But mainly the reason why it's expensive there is because a lot of people don't buy the food. They get their food from from the wild, or they grow their own food, supposedly. Yeah, you guys know that was a thing. Hold on, let me look it up. Why is everything expensive in Alaska? I can't find it, but trust me on this. The cost of living in Alaska is a lot. If you wanted to live like a normal person. You have to understand that 725 is criminally low. A lot of companies pay double that at minimum wage, and it still doesn't provide a living wage. I wonder. So, there's a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. There's some people out there that will commute to work. Well, not commute to work. I shouldn't say commute. They don't commute at all. But some people stay at home to work. But they do it like across the country. So some jobs you can work from home but also get paid doing it. So I don't know whether or not like because I've never done that before, whether or not if you have to like pay taxes or anything, it's where you work or it's where you where you live. Because that's something I've never thought of before. Because you have to, like, let's say work out of state. Or, like, there's some people that have to work, work plenty of jobs. Well, not plenty of jobs. They have to go from state to state. Like for example, people who work in, like, the carnival business. Or people who work in, like, wrestling. Because they don't just, like, stay in one place, right? All I know is that I don't like taxes and I don't like the word. Well, nobody likes taxes. But we still have to pay them. I don't know anybody that says, give me more taxes. Never heard anybody said, bring it! Bring the taxes! Bring on the pain! Literally nobody. But there is an interesting thing about taxes. There's, like, when we did the tier list on the states, on how we ranked them based on what we immediately thought, there was like a couple of states that don't necessarily have sales tax. So when you bought something, like let's say a TV, that would normally cost you like $50 extra if you paid like $500 for it, you don't have to pay the extra 50. Yeah, I think it was like Pennsylvania, and it wasn't North Dakota. I forget. But there was like 4 or 5 different states that don't have sales tax. But I do agree with you, like in Pup. Some people don't necessarily have a good paying job, so they can't make ends meet. And there's a lot of people out there that are homeless just because they can't get jobs rather than them being lazy. Oh my god, we still got a lot of ways to go. We're only like 50% of the way done. I've actually talked to a ton of people, but a ton of people that are like friends, and they come from like all sorts of backgrounds. One of them believes in like socialism. Some people believe in like nationalism. I don't really let that get in the way of things, but they have their own opinions on what they think is should be right. And what I find that's like truly good about having friends like that is they don't really let their beliefs try to force themselves onto other people. What I mean by this is like they respect each other's opinions and beliefs, and we don't really argue over that, which I find a lot of people nowadays have a problem with. Like for me though, I don't really care if you believe in something that's crazy, or if you talk about something that I think might be crazy. Like let's say for example you believe something like in a cult, or like believe in Scientology. I don't know if anybody here believes in Scientology, but I would personally never follow that. I do know that they're very... I wouldn't say crazy is the right word, but they're very organized in how they do things. Scientology is a cult. Yeah, it is a cult. But at least for me, what I think of when it comes to a cult, it's like people in groups that believe certain things. So like when it comes to cults, like I think of like religion as well. But usually cults go one step further by trying to force you to convert to that. Like if I followed like a different religion, like any of the pillars of of religion, like Christianity or Islam or what is there, Judaism. There's a lot of religions out there, but I'm not gonna name all of them. there's religions that are actually religions, and then there's some that are go a step further to force you to do things. And Scientology is one of those. They would want you if you got money. There's like some celebrities out there that actually do believe in Scientology. Which, like, for me is weird. Like, Scientology is like based on the belief that through science anything can... I think their notion is anything can be solved by science. But the funny thing is they haven't really contributed anything in the science world. Like, so I don't know what they're doing exactly. Unless they do it secretly. I haven't really seen any breakthroughs. I think their motto is like science is power or some shit. But if you believe in like Scientology, I ain't gonna bash you for that. Alright, it's just like I ain't gonna say you're a bad person because you believe in Scientology. Like, my logic is, if you don't force me into something, then I'm not gonna really care that much about it. But if you do try to convert me into something, that's when we're gonna start throwing hands. But I think that's the case for most people. Oh, did I ever tell you guys the story about how I was I don't know. It was a really weird thing, but I was confronted, or I was met by like somebody that was in Scientology. This was back in college. So I went to like a corner of this like big city in California. There's like Pasadena and Old Pasadena. So when I went to college there at the community college, I had to take the bus, but I had to make 2 stops. Are you a video converter? No. No. But I had to make 2 stops, and when I got off the first stop, and I was waiting for the second bus, there was like a guy that was in Scientology, and he told me all about it. And the strangest thing was, he told me to come down, to walk down this like weird alley to get into like this building for Scientology to watch like a videotape. So he essentially just told me, come down here, it'll be fine. Just come down this alley into this this building right here. So I was like, okay, sure. And then when I saw the building, I was like, oh, okay, well, my bus is gonna be late. I gotta go. I was like, it'll be fast. So needless to say, I got the fuck out of there. And immediately right after, he tried to persuade another person. And they actually did succeed. They persuaded that person to go into the building. Yeah, but by then, I was already on the bus. But I will say, Scientology, they're very persuasive in the way they do things. They're also very active. But in a really forceful manner, kind of. Passive-aggressive, I think that's the word for it. I'm fine with being friends with most people, but there are lines to be drawn sometimes. There really is. But I've had experiences with every religion possible. In my time, at least. If some people think Scientology is a religion, then great. I guess. But it doesn't mean I need to accept that. I don't know. Would you guys accept Scientology as a religion? Like the way I think of things is like when people tell you to respect them, it's sort of like when they tell you something that's somewhat crazy and you're supposed to indulge in their fantasies or indulge in their delusions of thinking something that they think is right. And I feel like that sort of meets the line of that. Like what I mean by this is like there's some people who have these outward backwards ass thinking of them wanting to be, let's say, an inanimate object, or they want to identify as a penguin, or they want to be, or they do stuff like hyperventilate and they can live off of air and they don't need to eat anything. And yes, there's people like that that you're supposed to to do that or indulge in their kind of delusions. I would follow it, but only if you are the one converting because you're a good converter. Well, I ain't a cult, okay? I ain't a cult leader. I don't know what to tell you. But you are a leader, you are a parasite who converted your human? Well, that's different. Okay, that's different. See, I needed a podium to stand on. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be able to see me. If I'm too short, then I wouldn't be on the screen. Is the head soft? Kind of. I think so. Oh yeah, there's also some crazy people who think, like, I don't know, crazy is the right word, but I'd say crazy in a general sense, but I wouldn't accept it. Like, there's some people out there, I saw like on, like this is really old, but there's like a woman that claims that they've had sex with a ghost. So I was like, what the fuck? How's that even possible? How do you have sex with a ghost? So it's just like stuff like that that just sort of like I'm not inclined to believe that that's true. But I will accept your idea of like you having had sex with a ghost, like based on like if you like your experience or like story. I'm not inclined to believe it's true. Yeah, this was on the news too. This was on like the British news. Hold on, let me see. Yeah. This is the story. This is true. Yeah. I gave up men to have sex with ghosts. This was 6 years ago. This was actually a thing. So There's a lot of things that you can't say that are true, but there's a lot of things that you can say are kind of true for the insanity. Yeah, we're not gonna watch that because I feel like that would kind of be TOS, kind of against the terms of service. But I've seen a lot of stuff that I think is like kind of interesting but wacky and stupid at the same time. You know what they say, fuck around and find out? I've never done it with a ghost, so I wouldn't know. Okay. This side is clean. How do we get upstairs? Oh, it's the ladder. Nice. What pill is she doing these days? Did ask her? Well, I don't think a ghost can make you pregnant, so I don't think that's possible. If it was, then she'd be the first person to ever have a ghost baby. I guess that's like one nice thing about ghosts. If we're gonna believe her story, that is. If you had sex with like a ghost, you can't get pregnant from it. Or maybe if you did, it'd be like... It'd be weird because the ghost is like a dead person, right? So, the dead person would have a baby with a person that's alive. And if that was the case, maybe that would prove her her ghost story. Because the only way you would have a baby is like if you were to be alive and did it. And if you were a ghost, then you're dead and you wouldn't be able to do that. So I think that would be the only way she'd ever prove her point. Or prove her story is true. Oh, I wonder if I did this. Oh yeah. That's better. Well, kind of. I don't even think it helps. Well, it helps a little bit. As long as whatever somebody's doing or someone's doing, it isn't dangerous to their own or other people's health, then I'll respect whatever they want to do or be. I don't respect cults. I lost family to that shit. Oh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Cults are somewhat of a serious thing to deal with. Because I feel as though the way the cults work is you need to have somebody like in a state where they're like the most vulnerable, and you're like the only hope that they have, and that's really the only way you'll ever convert somebody is if they have like quote unquote nothing to 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 do. Or not nothing to do, but you guys know what I mean. All right. See, I don't really care about it being true. I'd care more about why she decided to go public about announcing on TV. People with stories like that are to know they're gonna get bullied the hell out of it. Yeah, they are gonna get bullied, but I feel as though a lot of the times they're kind of just doing it for attention, but there's such a thing as good attention and bad attention. But people nowadays are so fixated towards getting those internet points that they forget in the back of their mind that they're gonna face huge backlash over it. There's people nowadays that do pranks on TikTok, but I mainly see them on YouTube as well through shorts, but moreover through Ray William Johnson. He tends to make a lot of shorts on people doing stupid things, and they don't get away with it. But I see his shorts, and there was like one woman that's... It's not as crazy as like the woman that had sex with ghosts. But this woman decided one day she would go into Walmart and try to make people angry, but most people played her off. So after that, she decided to go to another Walmart, and she brought a baseball bat with her. So she tried to smash the TVs there, but the stupidest thing is she brought her own TV to Walmart, and she smashed her own TV in Walmart. So Walmart was like, we ain't having this shit, we're gonna call the police. And they called her there. Called and they got there and they arrested her. Not for smashing her own TV, but for being a public disturbance. If you guys didn't know that was a thing, somebody can be that stupid, so... Those things exist. People nowadays want to collect those internet points, they want to have those updates, they want to get all those thumbs up. They want to get all the likes. I gotta have all the views! Do you know how pressure works in this game? No idea. But I think I'm just getting the surface level stuff off, and then we're doing the deep cleaning. Yeah, it's sort of like cutting an onion, or before you get to the depths where you actually cry. That's the way I think of things right now. Standing up close would be significantly more effective than standing several feet away, regardless of the nozzle you're using. Okay. Oh, okay, let's see. Of course, the narrower the nozzle, the higher the pressure is also. Okay. The other thing is the colored tips. Okay, maybe try the shorter extension. Narrow nozzle. Okay. I feel like I feel like I don't really need to be all that close though. It is cleaning it. I like the swirl one. That one's kind of nice. Look at that. It makes a perfect circle. Is that bird poop or paint? I think it's both. I'm gonna be honest though. I don't think anybody's house is gonna be this dirty. Even through the passage of time. Like, it's just not possible. You must have done something to have this happen. Like, even if like 1,000 birds came like on your house, they're not gonna poop and like have this much of a mess. It's for a movie set. There's no way. What kind of movie are you doing? Is it Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds? I think the lore explanation is the volcanic activity. And what's the yellow shit? What's... This is volcanic stuff? Guys want to give it a taste or something? See if it's actually volcanic? Yeah, but that's like another thing, though. Why would you live near a volcano? Only $1,582. Yeah, that's big money. Like maybe if this was like a crack house, I'd probably understand. Like maybe, you know, everybody had like parties, and they produce like methamphetamines. Like that would make a little bit more sense, but a volcano one, I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch. Dormant volcanoes sometimes erupt without warning, and after a long period of dormancy. They aren't constantly going off. It's a reasonable place to live. Yeah, but would you pay like $1,000 to have somebody get the shit off the house? I feel like that'd be a nuisance, though. That just like comes with like an added. Well, I wouldn't say like it's sort of like a. Sort of like when you buy a house and then somebody died on the property, but they don't tell you that somebody died unless you asked. How would drugs make your house look like it was blown up in a cartoon? Well, you guys saw Breaking Bad, right? There's a lot of things you can do with acid. I will say though, alright, I will be honest though. If I had the choice to have like a house either near a volcano or in Detroit, I would pick this house. If they were, if the price was the same, if the property was the same. Because I'd rather have a volcano near me rather than the unknown. Supposedly Detroit is better nowadays, as long as you mind your business. According to the residents on Reddit. I don't know how much I trust them on that, but it's a decent place to live nowadays. And it's supposedly a lot more affordable. But if it were to came down to that, I'd still pick this house. But if it were like any other house elsewhere, I would pick that house over this one. Because the upkeep just seems like it's a really annoying thing. Because if I had the volcano erupt, and then it would splash like ash all over the house, that'd be like a public health hazard, right? I wouldn't be able to live live in it for a couple of days. So it'd be an inconvenience to me. So I'd have to like rent a hotel or something, or live elsewhere for the time being. Nice. Alright, let me get this side of the wall here. But I do have to ask you though, would you guys actually live here? Knowing that there's an active, well, somewhat active volcano nearby? You guys are probably gonna say if the property is cheap enough. That's my guess. To me, don't get me wrong, it looks like a nice looking house. But there's just like so much upkeep to do. You pay somebody like, well, it's not even 1,000. It's like $2,000 to do this. It's just so much of an inconvenience. Lava moves quickly. I'd rather not see my entire life devoured by flames. Yeah, that's another reasonable thing. Unironically, though, every other house isn't dirty. So maybe the volcano actively targeted this one. It must hate this house. What did this house do to the volcano? Oh, maybe the volcano needed a human sacrifice, but it needed a human sacrifice from every single household. But this one decided to be the odd one out. That's why it had to be punished for it. There were no human sacrifices. Well, actually, it doesn't need to be human sacrifices. Maybe the people here just needed to sacrifice one thing that that they needed to, well, that was sentimental to them. But the people here decided not to. That's probably what angered the volcano. Fuck you, particular suburban living edition. I wonder if they still make those renovation shows. I forgot what the name of what name of it was called. But it used to be really popular back in the day. Yeah, TV shows would just fix up a house and then give it to somebody. Well, actually, not give it to somebody. They would just have like a sob story that would play, and the reason why their house looks like crap. And then the team would like fix up the house. And by the end, everybody's like crying and shocked and stuff. It's like, this is our house. Next thing you know, it ends up being the same thing that happens like years later. The house just ends up in that state again. But mostly it's because of like people that hoard stuff or hoarder houses. Did you watch Hell of a Boss? Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Hey, Jury. Hope you're having a good night so far. Yeah, I know. I usually just come up with names on the spot. I don't really think of like the names thoroughly or anything. It's just the way that it is. Dream home makeover? Yeah. We were talking about how houses end up in this state. And we were talking about like extreme makeover houses. Like the TV shows for them. How there's gonna have people with like sob stories that play before they renovate the house, and by the end everybody's like super surprised and shocked and crying and shit. Yeah, but some people said that it was because of a volcano that caused all this crap. And my thought immediately was like, why is this the only house with crap on it? Like everybody's house is fine. So the volcano specifically decided to be an asshole to this house. They didn't invite the volcano to the neighborhood potluck? Yeah. Or maybe they didn't go to the potluck, that's why. These are probably the introverts. I've seen a few of them seem shoddy. One shtick was fixing the house in 24 hours. It always looked worse and probably fell apart in days. I think I think trying to build a house in a couple days just seems like near impossible. Even if you have like a ton of people. It's like the whole idea of Rome being built in a day. That just doesn't happen. Because you need to make sure that there's like safety precautions you follow and the building's up to code. And you need to like send it over to like the city so that they can look at it and look at like the documents and whether the building is. So what I mean by that is they have to process everything, which I think takes a long time. So to do it in like a couple days seems kind of, I don't know, kind of sus. Alright, where else do I need to clean? I think here. I'm just gonna do this area, this little spot here, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Because, like we've been going at it for a little while, and I think I'm just gonna clean the rest of this, next time. Or the other side, I mean. Hey, thank you for subscribing, Kyle Woodling. I appreciate it. But I swear though, there's like a ton of crap on this house. Some of it I feel like is not just due to the volcano, but just due to like the homeowner not cleaning the gutters. Like that doesn't look like volcanic activity, that looks like mold. Hold on, let me go down and I'll use this. I use the long extension. There we go. I was wondering, have you guys ever been peer pressured to do anything when you were kids? Like for me, the only time I've ever been peer pressured to do anything was probably like like just like doing something stupid. Like just jumping off something. Like if the kids were saying, just do it. We did it. A lot of the times from like peer pressure, it just like it's either like drinking or smoking or like anything that's like that's not like above the age limit or below, or just like below the age limit, I mean. But this also kind of ties into like doing things that you're not supposed to, or playing games that you're not supposed to that are above your age limits. So I don't know if you guys did that when you were kids. For me though, when I was like 10 years old, I went to my sister's house and I played GTA 3 and GTA Vice City. But that was back when I was 10 years old. So it always makes me wonder why they decide to have like an age label, like put it on like a game, if people are just gonna ignore it. Like it literally doesn't matter. Because for me, even though I played those games, like sort of not growing up, but I did want to keep playing them. I never really turned out to be like a criminal or anything. Unless I didn't pay my taxes for the year, then maybe I'd be a criminal with the IRS. But beyond that, I've been like a normal human being. There was one time my sister actually got in trouble with the IRS. With taxes, I mean. They sent her a letter that she owed money. But they didn't really come after her. They were just kind of polite about it. It's like, you owe us this much. I think it's mostly because my sister has a lot of business ventures. So that sort of tends to muddy up her finances a little bit. Cause cause she's in like the collectible business, in like a collectible, like anything you can think of, like plushes, figures, or anything that I think is trending. And she even has like businesses in collectibles companies. So I feel like that tends to be a problem with her. With paying taxes. She does have an accountant, but sometimes even that accountant might slip up. My parents didn't give me a phone or real access to games until I was around 12 or 13, so I didn't really have a chance to be disobedient. Well, that's a fine age to play games, or to have a phone. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. I didn't own a phone until I was in high school. Yeah. And when I did have a phone, it was a flip phone. But by then, everybody in high school by that time, everybody already had smartphones. And me, I was like the only one that had a flip phone. But the funniest thing about it was, even my parents didn't have smartphones. They still had flip phones. And I think the iPhone came out in 2008. This was 7 years after that. So by then we still didn't have smartphones. We still had flip phones. I can't say the same for you guys though. It was only until a little bit after high school that I got my first smartphone. Nice. First phone in 8th grade, huh? Oh, I don't know if schools still do this shit, but back in elementary and middle school, we used to be forced into like wearing uniforms that were like black and white. We'd had like black shorts, or like black pants and white shirts, and everybody had to follow that dress code. So I don't know if schools still have dress codes. To me, that's just stupid. I utterly think they should get rid of that. I don't really see a reason into dress codes, because it kind of reminds me of like a cult. Where everybody has to wear the same colors. Everybody has to wear the same shirt. Here they have it. Well, they should get rid of it. That's just my opinion, though. I think it's stupid. Like for example, I feel like nowadays you're kind of you kind of have to do it even when you work, because when you think of like going to work, you think of wearing like a business suit and like a tie and some not jeans but in like a black suede pants. For me, I just don't get that. I don't really see the reason why. Like, if you want to go to work, you want to go to work to have fun. You don't want to go to work to feel like it's work. You guys know what I mean? It's like you're like when you force somebody to wear something, it's like you're forcing them to do something that you want them to do. So for me, if I feel like if you had the freedom to wear whatever you want and have like that restriction like resolved, you'd see like a lot more kids a lot happier. Because to me, the way I see it, so much in terms of how they structure school nowadays, like it feels like a prison. Like they even have the fences for it. And you're just wearing like the prison uniform. So I don't know why it has to be like that. My few memories of being bad are just silly, staying up to read stuff like that. No, that's not silly. You're a rule breaker. Yeah, back then I also had a bedtime. But to be honest, I just kind of slept whenever I wanted to sleep. And my parents wouldn't know since I had my own room. And what I would do is I would just turn off the lights, and they wouldn't be none the wiser because they wouldn't check. I would just lock the doors. Yeah, so if you're a kid, and I don't know, if you're watching this, then don't watch it. Just don't be like me. Don't curse. But if you're a kid and you struggle with your bedtime, just turn off the lights, lock the door, and do something quietly, and they won't notice. So so you can go to sleep technically whenever you want. Now, when you're an adult, you get to do whatever you want. That's the only difference. But if you want to get out of a bedtime, that's the only way to do it. Either that or renegotiate. My 5th grade and middle school dress code sucked ass. They try to sap your individuality as much as possible. Yeah, that's the same with my old school. I don't know why they don't get rid of it. Froggy's so caring. No, I just state the obvious. If I believe something is crap, then I just state it. There's no sugarcoating it unless you want to eat it. Kind of like if somebody's fat, then they're fat, okay? I ain't gonna sugarcoat the fact that you might be fat or something. If you're fat, then don't eat the sugar coating. Oh yeah, that reminds me. You guys know that, I don't know if this was like in Japan or like Korea or somewhere else, but they're really kinda... Hold on, there was like something about it. Oh yeah, there's like Asian plus size stores somewhere. I don't know if it's like in Japan or like Korea or even in like China, but there's like retail stores that kind of shame fat people. I don't know if you guys know this. Let me show it to you guys. Yeah, this was what I was looking for. Maybe it's like somewhere in Thailand, just judging from that, but they have like stores where it's just like offensive, sort of. Not, I wouldn't say like offensive, but they really kind of go off on people that are like a plus sized, I guess. Yeah, but these are like some of the signs they put out. Oh, even Ray William Johnson covered it. Yeah, like Thai fat cat. I'm not gonna play all of it, but you guys get what I mean. Yeah, but for me, I don't really censor stuff. Yeah, if something's something, then I just say it. Except the N-word. The only N-word I know is no. It's like I can say things, but say things within subtlety and reason. Okay. I think that's good for now. I think we've cleaned everything here. Don't slay slurs generally. Now we're getting into some really specifics. I feel like if you're, it kind of depends though, because if you're part of like that culture or that heritage you hold, it kind of depends. Okay, guys. I don't know why I'm in the corner. Hold on. Yeah, my intro was kind of scuffed because nobody told me that I was silent for 5 minutes. If you're reclaiming a slur, that's different. If you can't, then don't. Well, there's a lot of slurs out there, and one slur I do know of is like the E word. I didn't know it was a slur. I thought it was like a type of indigenous people. But apparently in Alaska, you can't call them the E word, since it's a slur. But now I know that's a slur. I think I can spell it out though. Yeah, I don't think that's offensive if I was talking in that context. But the word ESKIMO is a slur. Apparently. Yeah, but now you guys know if you didn't. They say the N-word a lot because of public Discord servers. Yeah. That's definitely like a problem, I feel like. It kind of depends. If some people are cool with you using it in the context of you talking to them as a friend, then that's different. But if you're talking to somebody as like a stranger and you don't have an agreement as to use that, because again, it kind of depends on the context and it kind of depends on a lot of things. There is leniency, but within reason. I just got here, but hope it was a nice stream. It was. Unless it was the intro. I kind of screwed up there. Yeah. I screwed up the intro. So if you're watching this as a VOD, I'm sorry. Okay? I didn't mean it. Oh, I think next week I'm gonna try out Palworld. I don't know if you guys would be into that, but I was genuinely curious since I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of it. I do like the idea of capturing Pokemon and forcing them to do stuff. Oh, and guns. I heard there were guns in that. Oh, and capturing people. Yeah. Capturing people. That seems like fun. But I'll come up with the schedule on Monday, and then I'll keep you guys posted. Yeah, we'll clean up the rest of the house for Powerwash Simulator, but I think this was pretty good progress for today. Apparently it supports AI art. That's what some people artist friends said. What? Damn. Well, that's kind of controversial, but it's not gonna stop me from trying out the game. I'm still gonna try it out. Alrighty, guys. Hope you all have a good night. You take care, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Oh, and if you're new, feel free to come join our Discord to make a new friend. Or if you want to be a VTuber, go follow Jury and subscribe to her. She's a very comfortable, happy, fun, wonderful streamer. Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you all for the support.